This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President Trump holds court in an hours-long cabinet meeting.
But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
An attorney for Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook says she'll sue to prevent President Trump from firing her.
Can't have an infraction.
Jennifer King, Washington.
Metro Phoenix is feeling the effects of a towering wall of dust. I'm Mike Hempen.
A California couple charged with murder in their baby's death. I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, this morning, investors are bracing for chipmaker NVIDIA's earnings. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A federal judge has dismissed the Trump administration's lawsuit against Maryland's entire federal bench. Hi up in Juwani, Washington.
A whistleblower says 300 million people's Social Security data is at risk. Ed Donahue, Washington.
All ahead on America in the Morning. In a cabinet meeting to celebrate American workers ahead of Labor Day, President Trump meets with his cabinet secretaries and offers thoughts and opinions on a wide variety of topics. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
These guys that are holding these up, if you ever try holding your hand out for 2 hours, are you getting tired? Are you getting tired?
Trump addressing the boom mic operators and reporters standing in the room during the cabinet session that took up nearly half a workday. Trump addressed the DOJ's temporary takeover of D.C. police, vowing to pursue capital punishment for murders in the nation's capital.
If somebody kills somebody in the Capitol, Washington, D.C., we're going to be seeking the death penalty.
Trump also responded to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's call for Chicago residents to engage in nonviolent resistance if the National Guard is sent to that city.
I would have much more respect for Pritzker if he'd call me up and say, I have a problem. Can you help me fix it? I would be so happy to do it.
Trump argued people want an authoritarian approach to crime fighting.
So the line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime. So a lot of people say, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
The president veered into a discussion on energy, incorrectly stating the price of gas is below $2 a gallon in some areas. There are no reports of gas being below $2 a gallon anywhere in the U.S., while also bemoaning solar and wind power, saying he will not allow them.
Windmills, we're just not going to allow them. They're ruining our country.
He also defended his decision to allow 600,000 Chinese students into American colleges and universities.
But I like that their students come here. I like that other countries' students come here. And you know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly.
That decision receiving rare pushback from supporters. Trump wasn't the only one to speak. Cabinet officials took turns praising the president, including Special Envoy Steve Witkoff.
And there's only one thing I wish for. That noble committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since this Nobel Award was ever talked about to receive that reward.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says they will soon announce findings on causes of autism not yet detailed publicly.
Finding certain interventions now that are clearly, almost certainly causing autism.
And Trump also weighed in on the major news of the day, the engagement of pop superstar Taylor Swift and NFL star Travis Kelce.
I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
John Stolnis, Washington.
A Federal Reserve governor says she will sue to prevent her removal by President Trump, and the Fed has also responded saying they would abide by any court decision on whether the executive branch has the legal authority to remove her. Correspondent Jennifer King reports the firing of Lisa Cook by Donald Trump could test the limits of presidential power and could be decided by the Supreme Court.
An attorney for Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook says she'll sue to prevent President Trump from firing her. Lawyer Abby Lowell says Trump lacks the authority or legal basis.
What she did was bad, so I'll fire her if she doesn't resign.
While legal experts say the law that allows for the removal of a Fed governor for cause requires a finding of fact.
She always had legal facts.
At a cabinet meeting, Trump repeated the allegation by his appointee Bill Pulte that Cook claimed 2 primary residences in 2021 to get better mortgage terms.
But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board and it doesn't seem like she was.
The president has repeatedly demanded that the Fed cut its key interest rate. Cook's removal would give him a 4-3 majority on the Fed's board.
And we'll have a majority very shortly, so that'll be great. Once we have a majority, housing is going to swing, and it's going to be great.
The Federal Reserve has weighed in on the firing, saying it would abide by any court decision, but defending long tenures and removal protections as a vital safeguard for monetary policy decisions. Trump's move could erode the central bank's political independence, and the legal battle could go all the way to the Supreme Court. Jennifer King, Washington.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale, limited time, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. A scene out of the 1930s as Arizona's hit with a dust storm. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. In some parts of the nation, it's feeling like autumn. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with today's forecast.
Some parts of the east where it's been cool to start this week will have at least one more chilly night tonight, but some moderation of that chill is on the horizon elsewhere as a disturbance well above the surface that has been contributing to that chill makes its way toward the east coast. This means that overnight lows rise a general 5 to 10 degrees from Tuesday night to tonight in areas like Wisconsin, Illinois, and northwestern Indiana, even into parts of Ohio, as places from eastern Kentucky and the Appalachians through southwestern Pennsylvania continue the fall preview with lows in the 40s and 50s. Of course, this comes after highs fall 10 to 15 degrees short of historical averages later today from the Midwest through the Mid-Atlantic and through New England. This should be a rather nice day with low humidity for many. In terms of precipitation, a potentially significant flooding event gets underway for the second half of this week within a zone from northeastern New Mexico and southeastern Colorado to northern Mississippi, where moisture from both the Gulf and the Pacific Ocean combines to enhance thunderstorms through Friday. Repeated drenching downpours and some localized even heavier rain where thunderstorms can develop may lead to travel disruptions. Today also brings another stormy day to many interior parts of the West, where storms may produce localized gusty winds, flash flooding, even frequent lightning. However, showers may also fire up from Maine to northeastern Pennsylvania today, with thunderstorms more likely instead in central and southern Florida, central and southeast Texas, and from Minnesota to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. In Boise, Idaho, watch for some heavy rain and embedded thunder, perhaps even some flooding developing today, the high 75. For Newark, New Jersey, look for some sunshine and another rather nice day with a high of 79. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Daytime turned to night and visibility on highways cut to zero as a powerful dust storm rolled through the most densely populated portions of Arizona. As correspondent Mike Hempen reports, the storm was powerful enough to cut power to thousands and even ripped part of the roof off the International Airport in Phoenix.
Metro Phoenix is feeling the effects of a towering wall of dust. The storm, known as a haboob, darkened the sky, blinded drivers, knocked out power, and grounded flights. One woman who was driving in Phoenix City at the time had to pull over, saying she couldn't see her hand in front of her face. She says she could taste the dust and feel the wind rattling her car. A haboob is a dust storm pushed by the wind, produced by a weather front or thunderstorm. It typically occurs in flat, arid areas. Heavy rain and wind followed the haboob, delaying flights at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. PowerOutage.us says more than 15,000 people lost power, most in Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix. I'm Mike Hempen.
A Southern California couple is charged with the unthinkable, the death of their infant child. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
32-year-old Jake Harrow and his wife, 41-year-old Rebecca Harrow, charged with murder in the killing of their son Emmanuel. Authorities in Riverside County say the boy hasn't been found. It's believed that he's dead. The couple arrested more than a week after Mrs. Harrow told investigators she was changing her son's diaper outside a San Bernardino County store when she was assaulted. She said she was knocked out, and when she woke up, the baby was gone. Police report inconsistencies, though, in her stories, and later made the arrests. The couple also charged with a misdemeanor count of filing a false police report. I'm Clayton Neville.
Boeing's new $37 billion deal. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. How will we find the opening bell this Wednesday on Wall Street? Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day for stocks yesterday. Investors are hoping for strong NVIDIA earnings later this afternoon after the closing bell. Kohl's shares had a rough one. They plunged 6% yesterday on a Bloomberg report the retailer may be having money trouble.
Kohl's is asking at least some vendors for more time to settle its invoices, which is something we do see retailers do from time to time when it comes to a cash management strategy in a way potentially to conserve cash.
CNBC's Courtney Reagan. Consumer confidence, meantime, still in the doldrums. It came in lower in the most recent report than last month after revisions. Boeing popped 3% yesterday after South Korea's president met with President Trump at the White House.
A big deal from Korean Air, ordering more than 100 planes from Boeing. Not a huge surprise here that a deal was announced. That was expected. There are more than 103 ordered, or 103 total, including 50 737 MAX 10s. Book value just over $36 billion.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Investors are watching as President Trump says he's fired Fed Governor Lisa Cook. She's accused of mortgage fraud, but she says she'll sue to keep her job, and she didn't do anything wrong. The president's been pressuring the Fed to lower interest rates. He does get to appoint loyal replacements for anyone who leaves the committee.
More questions and answers about the independence of the Fed, the power of the president over the central bank, and, of course, the more important outlook for monetary policy when it comes to markets. The president saying he fired Cook for, quote, allegedly making false statements on one or more mortgage agreements. Cook responded, quote, President Trump purported to fire me for a cause when no cause exists under the law and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. Questions include, is Cook actually fired now? Does the president actually have this authority? What will Fed Chair Powell do in response? Will he allow her into the building or cut off her email or whatever? How and when will the courts weigh in here? How much control does the president have over the Fed?
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Intel is now 10% owned by the American government in an unprecedented move. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told CNBC the Trump White House is eyeing defense contractors next.
Oh, there's a monstrous discussion about defense. I mean, Lockheed Martin makes 97% of their revenue from the U.S. government. They are basically an arm of the U.S. government.
Jack Daniels maker Brown-Forman had its worst day since June. Spirits makers having a hard time with Canadian and other foreign boycotts over tariffs. And Americans in general are just drinking less alcohol. On today's watch list, we do get earnings after the closing bell from NVIDIA, plus reports from Abercrombie & Fitch, J.M. Smucker, CrowdStrike, and Kohl's.
Thank you, Jessica Ettinger of CNBC. When we return on America in the Morning, the new legal loophole for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That and more after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Attorneys representing Kilmar Abrego Garcia file an emergency motion to reopen his immigration case. Abrego Garcia is currently being held in a Virginia detention center where his deportation to Uganda was placed on hold pending further legal proceedings. The Salvadoran native's attorneys argue that because Abrego Garcia was deported previously and then brought back to the U.S., he's now eligible to apply for asylum within 1 year of his last entry into America. Well, a judge appointed by Donald Trump has dismissed a lawsuit brought by the Department of Justice against the Maryland judiciary. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
A federal judge has dismissed the Trump administration's lawsuit against Maryland's entire federal bench. The judge called it potentially calamitous. U.S. District Judge Thomas Cullen granted a request by the judges to toss the case, saying to do otherwise would offend the rule of law. The lawsuit addressed an order by the chief judge of the Maryland District Court that stopped the immediate deportation of migrants challenging their removals. The Justice Department said the automatic pause impeded President Donald Trump's authority to enforce immigration laws. Cullen was nominated by the Republican president in 2020 and serves in Virginia. The judge criticizes the administration's attacks on the judiciary. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
There are concerns that hundreds of millions of Americans may have had their Social Security data compromised. Correspondent Ed Donahue is following the story.
A whistleblower says 300 million people's Social Security data is at risk. Charles Borges, who worked as the chief data officer at the Social Security Administration, says officials at the Department of Government Efficiency uploaded sensitive information to a cloud account not subject to oversight. The Government Accountability Project says if bad actors gain access, it could lead to widespread identity theft. Vital health care and food benefits may be lost, and the government may be responsible for reissuing every American a new Social Security number at great cost. The Social Security Administration says in a statement it takes whistleblower complaints seriously, but seemed to downplay Borges' accusations. The agency wrote they are not aware of any compromise to this environment. Ed Donahue, Washington.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Which are the latest countries once again targeted by President Trump?
Charge them 200% tariff.
I'm Rich Johnson.
President Trump threatened sending National Guard troops to Chicago to fight crime. Residents there point to falling crime numbers. I'm Clayton Neville.
Americans' view of the U.S. economy declined modestly in August. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
The Israeli military says deadly strikes on a Gaza hospital targeted Hamas. I'm Ed Donahue.
First Lady pushes for AI programming from kids. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
If you're tired of hearing about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, too bad. They're engaged. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. You're with America in the Morning, and an important weather reminder about potential flooding today in portions of the nation. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
As the disturbance takes better shape over parts of the plains and Midwest, the period from this afternoon through Friday is expected to bring a heightened risk for flooding that also includes portions of the Southwest and the southern states. However, a 1-2 punch of moisture from both the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf converging over parts of this area should make the time frame from now through Thursday particularly concerning. Numerous rounds of heavy rain and downpours from embedded thunderstorms can be expected, with the zone from south-central Kansas through northern Arkansas in line for at least 1 to 2 inches of rain through Thursday. However, a narrow corridor of higher rainfall totals is expected to develop within this larger area, likely including southeastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and the northwestern corner of Arkansas. In these areas, at least 2 to 4 inches of rain looks much more likely, with the potential for localized higher amounts of 8 to perhaps 10 inches of total rain that would create rather difficult travel and some intense flooding. Elsewhere in the nation, a storm brings rather widespread coverage of showers and thunderstorms to many parts of the West, away from the West Coast and the borders of Canada and Mexico. Some of that rain may be steady and rather heavy at times today, from eastern Oregon to far northwestern Wyoming, with the precipitation more intermittent and showery from there south and east through Nevada, northern Arizona, much of Colorado, and perhaps even far western Nebraska by day's end. More spotty coverage of showers and storms is likely to build over parts of central and southeast Texas, the Florida Panhandle, and the upper Midwest today, and even in the northeast, there can be a shower for some from northeastern Pennsylvania and central portions of New York through western Massachusetts and into much of northern New England. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. China, India, and the countries in the European Union are the latest nations to feel the wrath of President Trump when it comes to trade. Correspondent Rich Johnson has the latest on tariffs imposed and threatened and the responses abroad.
The president says keeping the flow of rare earth magnets to the U.S. is a deal that China must do.
They have to give us magnets. If they don't give us magnets, then we have to charge them 200% tariff or something.
In China, it may be a matter of, I'll believe it when I see it. You'll recall that in April, Trump slapped a minimum 20% tariff on most Chinese goods. Days later, he upped it to 145%. Then in May, after some trade talks, the U.S. tariff went down to 30%. And now Trump's prepared to impose 200% tariffs on goods from China. Economist Yue Su says that recent history may soften Beijing's anxiety.
I think we all have a sense about limitations of how far Trump could really go with tariff. So I think the 200% is just going to be a threat by itself.
That interview courtesy of the Chinese news channel CNA. Trump provided no timetable for when such a huge tariff, what Su calls a de facto trade embargo, would happen. But the White House has said there are no plans to delay today's scheduled tariff hike on India, another 25% on top of the existing 25%, because India continues to buy oil from Russia. Piyush Doshi, with the Indian economic think tank the Convergence Foundation, says small companies that make uniquely Indian products will deal with the hike. On the other hand,
there are many manufacturers who are competing directly with many other countries on products purely on cost. They are deeply concerned with this situation.
Doshi's comments, courtesy of the German news network DW, appear to be playing out in the city of Surat, where about 2.5 million people work in the diamond industry. DNA India News reports factories are slowing production as diamond orders dry up. One other bit of presidential saber rattling. On social media, Trump threatened to impose new tariffs and export restrictions on countries who target U.S. tech firms like Google, Meta, Amazon, and Apple with high taxes and restrictive regulations. He wrote, such taxes and regs are all designed to harm or discriminate against American technology. I'm Richard Johnson.
President Trump continues to float the possibility of deploying National Guard troops to Chicago to fight crime, which has drawn angry responses by Chicago's mayor and the Illinois governor. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the news comes as Washington, D.C., where the Guard is currently patrolling, recorded its first murder in 12 days.
The pushback out of Chicago surrounds crime statistics, which point to a drop in crime, specifically violent crime, which is down 13% so far this year. Double-digit drops being seen in murders, burglaries, and shootings. Regardless, President Trump says he's considering sending National Guard troops to cities like Chicago and New York.
Those are not politically correct troops. We don't have politically correct anymore. We have tough guys, tough people, including some tough women. But we have tough people.
The president addressed criticism from some in response to his decision to federalize Washington, D.C., who call him a dictator.
The line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime. So a lot of people say, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
The potential deployment to other cities comes as the president pressures states to end cashless bail. New York Governor Kathy Hochul.
If you're going to threaten withholding dollars to keep people safer because you think we haven't done enough work, that's not exactly a good partner.
Republicans in Congress, though, are behind the president's aggressive approach on crime. Congressman Ralph Norman spoke with Fox Business about what he called out-of-control crime in Chicago.
Politicians are tone deaf in Chicago. It's always led the country in homicides. It's always led the country in just crime in general. As well as voter integrity. So he's right to do that.
Leaders in Democratic-led states say they don't need the federal government stepping in. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Trump administration is putting the pedal to the metal, threatening funding for some states over enforcing English rules for truckers. Correspondent Julie Walker reports the move comes following a deadly 18-wheeler crash in Florida by a driver who did not speak any English.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says California, Washington, and New Mexico could lose millions in federal funding if they continue failing to enforce English language requirements for truckers.
This is about keeping people safe on the road. Your families, your kids,
your spouses, your loved ones, your friends. We all use the roadway. And we need to make sure that those who are driving big rigs, semis, can understand the road signs, that they've been well trained.
An investigation launched after a deadly Florida crash this month involving Harjinder Singh, a truck driver from India who made an illegal U-turn, found what Duffy called significant failures in the way all three states were enforcing the rules that took effect in June after one of President Trump's executive orders.
Making sure drivers of very heavy 80,000-pound rigs can speak the language is truly a critical safety issue, and some complained about it. We implemented it at the end of June, and all of us in America saw what happened in Florida, where we had an individual who we tested this individual after the crash, but no doubt could not speak the English language and could not understand road signs.
I'm Julie Walker.
Melania Trump all in on AI. And a check of consumer confidence when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Many Americans lack trust in the economy. Correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports on the latest U.S. consumer confidence data.
Americans' view of the U.S. economy declined modestly in August. The Conference Board says its consumer confidence index ticked down to 97.4 in August, down from July's 98.7. That small decline in confidence was in line with the forecasts from most economists who were surveyed and came as anxiety over a weakening job market grew for the 8th straight month. Consumers' assessments of their current economic situation also fell modestly to 131.2 in August from 132.8 in July. And while unemployment and layoffs remain historically low, there has been mounting evidence that people are having difficulty finding jobs. The Conference Board's report also says references to high prices and inflation increased again and were often mentioned along with tariffs. More jobs data comes next week when the government releases its August job gains and June job openings report. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
Voting rights advocates are filing suit against Texas Republicans' redistricting plan. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
The NAACP and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law have filed a lawsuit accusing Texas legislators of gerrymandering in an effort to prevent black voters from electing candidates of their choice. After a request by President Trump, Texas Republicans drew up and approved new congressional district maps that add 5 new districts favoring Republicans. The effort prompted a 2-week walkout by Texas Democrats and kicked off efforts at redistricting in other states. In a statement, Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, said the state of Texas is only 40% white, but white voters control over 73% of the state's congressional seats. Johnson says it's quite obvious that Texas' efforts to redistrict mid-decade before next year's midterm elections is racially motivated. The measure's sponsor, State Senator Phil King, denies accusations that the maps were meant to dilute black votes. Texas Governor Greg Abbott predicts it will survive any court challenges. He has not yet signed the map measure into law. I'm Jennifer King.
Journalists for Reuters and the Associated Press killed in a Gaza military strike that left 20 people dead were not the target. Ed Donahue reports that the Israeli Prime Minister calls the incident a tragic mishap as they targeted Hamas surveillance equipment, and comes as Israelis took to the streets demanding an end to the war and the Israeli hostages brought home.
We very much appreciate the efforts of mediating countries, and we are certainly looking into any move that leads to a release of the hostages and the meeting of the goals of this war.
The Israeli military says deadly strikes on a Gaza hospital targeted Hamas. Without providing evidence, the military says the focus was a Hamas surveillance camera used to observe Israeli forces. It appears to contradict the sequence of events at Nasser Hospital. 20 people were killed, including 5 journalists. A senior Hamas official tells the AP they were not operating a camera, and if they did, it could be neutralized without targeting a healthcare facility with a tank shell. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it a tragic mishap. International law prohibits attacks on hospitals. Netanyahu, meantime, met with his security cabinet. He says it started in Gaza and it will end in Gaza. We will not leave these monsters there. We will release all our hostages. We will ensure that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. I'm Ed Donahue.
A man's under arrest in Germany, charged with stabbing an American tourist who was trying to protect two women on a public transport. Details from correspondent Charles de Ledesma.
The 20-year-old American was attacked shortly after midnight while at a tram stop in the city of Dresden. Police have said that he intervened when two men were harassing a woman on board the tram and was then attacked himself before the men fled. He sustained a deep wound to the face. A 21-year-old Syrian was detained on Sunday, but initially let go because prosecutors didn't at that point see grounds to keep him in custody. But the man was arrested on Tuesday morning after new information pointed to him having been involved in the attack. He's now in custody. The US Embassy in Berlin had urged German authorities to swiftly bring the perpetrators to justice. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
First Lady Melania Trump has a new initiative to get school-aged kids to create with AI. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
First Lady Melania Trump just launched a nationwide AI contest for K-12 students, teaming up with the National AI Literacy Initiative to get kids coding and creating with artificial intelligence. The Create with AI contest, backed by Melania's Be Best initiative, invites students to build AI projects like apps, games, or art using tools like Scratch or Google's AI kits. Winners will get White House invitations, $5,000 scholarships, and mentorships with tech giants like xAI and Google. Melania called it a way to empower younger minds while teaching safe AI use. Some parents are concerned that it is a bit young to start kids on AI, but with AI driving everything from self-driving cars to chatbots, this contest could spark the next big innovator. Other critics claim this is just a PR move tied to Melania's AI audiobook, but with over 1,000 schools already signed up, judges will be looking for creativity and ethics in programming. For more, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
With midweek sports, here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball Tuesday, the league-leading Brewers wasted an early 6-run lead, but bounced back to edge the Diamondbacks 9-8 on an Isaac Collins sacrifice fly with the bases loaded in the ninth. Dodgers down the Reds 6-3. Clayton Kershaw improved to 5-0 in August, 9-2 on the year. Brandon Nimmo had the walk-off winning hit as the Mets shaded the Phillies 6-5.
That at-bat doesn't happen without Marte getting things going. Pete, putting the barrel on the ball, and then Beatty having an unbelievable at-bat. So it made my at-bat so much easier, and we won the game because of their at-bats.
A rough night for the American League division leaders. The Rockies rolled over the Astros 6-1. Twins got ninth-inning taters from Mickey Gasper and Matt Wallner to upend the Blue Jays 7-5. And the A's snuck across a couple of runs in the bottom of the 10th to nip the Tigers 7-6. Braves scored 9 times in the top of the 9th to reel in the Marlins 11-2. Ozzie Albies capped the outburst with his second homer of the night. Guardians snapped a 6-game slide, shutting out the Rays behind the 5-hit stylings of Parker Messick and the brothers. Lucas Giolito went 8 strong as the Red Sox blanked the Orioles. Wins for the Padres, Yankees, Giants, Royals, Rangers, and Pirates. NFL teams finalized their 53-man rosters on Tuesday, opening night a week from tomorrow. And U.S. Open tennis first-round wins for 2-seed Iga Swiatek, plus Americans Coco Gauff, the 3-seed, and number 8 Amanda Anisimova. Men's number 1 Yannick Sinner and number 3 Alexander Zverev were straight-set victors. That's Wednesday Sports.
Where you'll find gas prices the highest and the cheapest as we head into the Labor Day weekend. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Saying she immediately freaked out, pop singing sensation Taylor Swift and football star Travis Kelce announced they will tie the knot after a nearly 2-year relationship. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has the story.
TNT power couple Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced they were engaged in a joint Instagram post on Tuesday. The popular musician and Kansas City Chiefs tight end posted pictures of themselves surrounded by flowers, with Kelsey kneeling and Swift wearing a massive diamond ring. The caption read, quote, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married," followed by a firecracker emoji. Kapow indeed. Swift and Kelsey, both 35, began dating 2 years ago when she was on her worldwide Eras tour and he was winning Super Bowls. On the New Heights podcast with his brother Jason, Kelsey talked about trying to meet Swift.
You made her a bracelet?
Yeah. If you're up on Taylor Swift concerts, there are friendship bracelets, and I received a bunch of them being there, but I wanted to give Taylor Swift one with my number on it.
Multiple celebrities sent messages of support to the happy couple, including Kelsey's teammate, Chiefs defensive end Mike Dana on ESPN.
Great for them, and that's a blessing. I mean, anytime you find that type of joy, happiness, and love, I think that's a beautiful thing. Even President Trump, who's had multiple public feuds with Swift, wished them well during a cabinet meeting.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
No details were given about the upcoming nuptials, but expect the preparations for another wedding of the century in the coming months. I'm Kevin Carr.
Planning to hit the road for Labor Day weekend? You're going to find out the prices at the pump are the cheapest in years. Gas Buddy predicts that the prices on the last summer holiday weekend of 2025 will be $3.15 per gallon, the lowest Labor Day prices since 2020. AAA says the nationwide average price for a gallon of regular stands at $3.18. That's up 5 cents from a week ago, but down 17 cents from the same time last year. California drivers pay the most at the pump, averaging $4.57, while Mississippi has the lowest gas prices in the nation, averaging $2.69. However, there could be sticker shock in some states. A Midwest oil refinery shutdown has caused prices in Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Ohio to spike, in some places as high as 25 cents a gallon. America in the Morning for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.